Good morning, everyone. This meeting of the Escambia County Board of Adjustment, September 17, 2025, is hereby called to order. With 5 members present, we have a quorum. Will the clerk please swear in members of staff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Members of the board, copies of staff's resumes have previously been provided and remain on file for reference. The board has previously recognized staff as expert witnesses. Does anyone have any questions regarding their qualifications and abilities to offer expert testimony?
None.
Seeing none. Acceptance of the BOA meeting package for September 17, 2025 with the Development Services staff findings of fact into evidence. The board meeting package for September 17, 2025 with the Development Services staff findings of fact has previously been provided to board members. The chair will now entertain a motion to accept the BOA meeting package into evidence.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. And it's unanimous. The motion passes with five members in favor of the no motion and no members opposed. Proof of publication. Do we have proof?
Yes, sir.
Did the publications meet all their legal requirements?
Yes, sir.
The chair will now entertain a motion to waive the reading of the legal advertisement. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All those in favor of the motion, raise to the right hand. And it's unanimous, 5-0. Members of the board, have you reviewed the minutes for the Board of Adjustment meeting held on August 20, 2025? Upon your review of the minutes, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
No.
Seeing none. Upon your review, the chair will now entertain a motion regarding the minutes for the Board Adjustment meeting held on August 20, 2025. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Please raise your right hand if you are in favor of this motion. Unanimous, 5-0. Willie, would you please read the purpose of the Board of Adjustment and conduct of the meeting?
Yes, can you bring it up on the screen? Purpose of the Board of Adjustment and conduct of meeting. The Board of Adjustment BOA hears administrative appeals, variances, and a conditional use request. These hearings are quasi-judicial in nature. Quasi-judicial hearings are likely evidentiary hearings in a court of law, however less formal. All public testimony will be taken under oath, and anyone testifying before the BOA may be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits that the BOA considers are entered into evidence and made part of the record. The giving of opinion testimony will be limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence in the record. After hearing the testimony and arguments for and against the proposed action, and before making its decision, the BOA will consider the relevant testimony, the exhibits entered into evidence, and the applicable law. Because decisions of the BOA relating to variances, conditional uses, and extensions of development order for site plan approval are final. Unless overturned by a court of competent jurisdiction, the county may issue a development order and permits for the properties in ordinance with the decision of the BOA. However, if the applicant requests the issuance of any such order or permit, and such order or permit is issued, the applicant and not the county shall bear any risk that such decision may be set aside. The development order or permit may be revoked, or the development may be otherwise enjoined by the reviewing court. Any applicant for relief from a decision of the BOA for said actions, or any aggrieved party, as defined by state law, may seek review of such decision by filing an appropriate pleading in a court of competent jurisdiction within 30 days of the BOA decision. The date of the BOA decision shall be the date of the BOA the date that the BOA voted at the conclusion of the hearing. Whenever the BOA denies any application, no new application for an identical action on the same parcel shall be accepted for consideration within a period of 180 days of the BOA decision. Any person aggrieved by a decision of the BOA relating to an appeal of an administrative decision may within 15 days thereafter apply to the circuit court for review. Each individual who wishes to address the board regarding a particular issue must complete a blue request to speak form and submit it to the clerk of board. These forms are located on the table at the back of the commission chambers. You will not be allowed to speak until we receive one of these completed request to speak forms. We must have these completed forms for public record.
All written or oral communication outside of this hearing with members of the Board of Adjustment regarding matters under review today are considered ex parte communications. Ex parte communications are presumed prejudicial under Florida law and must be discussed as provided in Board of County Commission Resolution 06-13 before a decision by the board on any administrative appeal, variance, or conditional use request. The chair would ask, as each case is heard, that any board member who has been involved in any ex parte communication regarding the respective issue to please identify themselves and describe the communication. All right, case number CU 2025-10, 1420 West 9 Mile Road, a conditional use request to allow on-premises alcohol consumption within 1,000 feet of a child care facility, requested by Meredith Bush, agent for 9 Mile Plaza LLC owner. Board, is there any ex parte communications regarding this case? Seeing none. Knowledge of information obtained from a site visit or other source? Seeing none. Does any board member intend to refrain from voting due to a voting conflict of interest? Seeing none. Would the individuals who are a party to this item please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record so you can be sworn in by the clerk?
Thank you very much. Good morning, Honorable Board. My name is Meredith Bush, and address is 314 South Bayland, Suite 108, here in Pensacola. And I'm an attorney. I'm not typically sworn.
Were you provided with a copy of the criteria required to obtain a conditional use and a copy of the findings of facts?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to present?
Sure.
Okay.
Happy to do so. So I'm here on behalf of 9 Mile Plaza today and its project to be known as the Pelican. It's similar to, I don't know if you're familiar with the Dave & Buster's, but it's a restaurant, arcade type facility that will have a bar and alcohol service. I'm happy to walk through the criteria. As far as general compatibility, the proposed development is generally compatible with the surrounding area, which already supports a diverse mix of commercial, service, and residential uses. Nearby businesses include professional offices, personal services, automotive services, dining and entertainment venues, medical facilities, retail establishments. The presence of similar and complementary uses, such as restaurants, bars, and other customer-serving businesses, reflects a pattern of mixed commercial activity that aligns well with the proposed venue. In addition, there's a large retention pond between the development site and the child care facility, which is Little Prodigies, which provides a substantial physical buffer, which will help to minimize visual and operational impacts. Project's design and operations will be tailored to maintain a safe, attractive, and family-friendly environment that harmonizes with the character of the surrounding community. Going through the specific criteria for the alcohol, the existing times and use of the child care facility and the Pelican. So the child care center lists its hour of operation as 7:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. The Pelican will operate bar service from 2 p.m. until approximately 1 a.m. And there is a package store portion that will open at 10 a.m. There, as far as the 1,000-foot minimum distance, The uses will be separated by a large retention pond. If you don't mind pulling up that photograph to allow the board to see the pond between the, so you'll see on the far side of the photograph, the red dirt, which indicates where the site, our site's being developed. And you'll hear later that there's going to be an 8-foot privacy fence surrounding the project. Whether or not the uses are visible to each other, the structures are visible to each other. They're located on adjacent properties. However, the Pelican proposes to erect an 8-foot privacy fence between the properties. All activities will occur indoors and not be visible. Criteria D, whether there will be any on-premises consumption outdoors. No, there'll be no outdoor consumption. And then any conditions or circumstances that will mitigate incompatibility, if any. Mitigation measures for potential incompatibility will include installing an 8-foot privacy fence along the property boundary facing the child care facility to block visibility and reduce any noise or access. The ownership and management team have a well-established reputation in our community for operating successful venues, including the Whiskey Barrel and other local establishments. They have proven management practices, such as clearly defined security protocols, responsible alcohol service policies, and ongoing communication with nearby property owners. All of this will be implemented to ensure the venue remains a safe, respectful, and valued part of our community. Criteria 2, facilities and services. Emerald Coast Utilities Authority will provide water and sanitation services to the development. Solid waste will be collected by ECUA for disposal in the county landfill, which has existing capacity. Florida Power and Light will provide electricity. The proposed conditional use is not expected to create a capacity problem for any of the providers. On-site circulation. The new development will utilize existing access points. Traffic flow management will prevent congestion and disruptions for neighboring businesses and residents. Designing efficient ingress and egress points along with adequate on-site queuing space will alleviate any traffic issues. Copies of the site plan are attached, as well as the approved development order for the project. It's been through DRC. Nuisances and hazards. The proposed use will not generate unreasonable noise, glare, dust, smoke, odor, vibration, electrical interference, or other nuisances or hazards for adjoining properties or any other property in the immediate area. Solid waste. All on-site solid waste containers shall be appropriately located for functional access, limited off-site visibility, minimal odor, and any other nuisance impacts. Screening and buffering. The development will provide all screening and buffering as required by the LDC. The use of screening and buffering for the protection and mitigation of any compatibility issues will be implemented. And again, the owner proposes installation of an 8-foot privacy fence. Signs and lighting. The proposed conditional use will utilize signs and lighting that is compatible with adjoining properties and other properties in the immediate area, especially regarding glare and traffic safety. A sign permit application will be submitted showing size, location, and height of any proposed signs. Site characteristics. The size, shape, location, and topography of the site are adequate to accommodate the proposed use. And then finally, use requirements. The proposed development complies with the conditional use requirements of the zoning district. The development is compatible with all existing surrounding uses. The applicant understands that there may be additional review required through DRC, and that has actually occurred in that we have a development order. Happy to take any questions or address any concerns.
Board, do you have any questions? All right, staff?
Yes, thank you. Caleb McCarty, certified planner for the county. We found that it met all the criteria for the conditional use. But first, let's demonstrate our maps and photographies for the site. This is location map at 1420 West 9 Mile Road. This is the HCLI zoning as designated on the property. The future land use of the property is mixed use urban. And this is aerial of the property. The site is actually developed now. We have a site plan as well. This is what got us here, is that the tenant that is going to go into one of the new units is within a distance less than 1,000 feet of the daycare as we've shown here. This is initialized through a site inspection request, through planning and zoning, our office. When it comes back, obviously, that it's less than 1,000 feet, that's where we end up here. Continue to the next one, please. So we took the site plan and this site plan has received a development order, just like the applicant stated. And we overlaid it the best we could to see exactly how far, and we got within 650 feet from the furthest point of where the proposed use could go. So that's what got us here. This is our notice of public hearing sign that we placed along 9 Mile Road. This is looking north onto the subject property. Obviously, you see the slab there. Again, looking north onto the subject property that's under construction. This is looking northeast towards the adjacent property. That's the child care facility there at the end. This is also looking towards the child care facility, showing the retention pond in between the two uses. This is looking west along West 9 Mile Road. This is looking south across 9 Mile Road there. Southeast along 9 Mile and east along 9 Mile. That completes our maps and photography. So we'll proceed with staff's findings at this time, and I'll summarize and hit the key points here. For criterion A, there are specific criteria related to the general compatibility of proposed alcohol uses. Those deal with existing time of use, 1,000-foot distance, if they're visible, if there's any on-premise consumption, and any additional conditions or circumstances that would mitigate those uses. What we found for criterion A is, number one, the applicant states that the hours of operation for the child care are 7:30 to 4:30 p.m. daily. The proposed alcohol use, referred to as the Pelican, will operate bar services from 2 p.m. to 1 a.m. and will begin package sales at 10 a.m. We did verify the hours of operation of the child care facilities on their website, known as Little Prodigies, and they are consistent with the applicant's provided information. There is an overlap in the hours of operation that will occur between the two uses during the afternoon hours from 2 p.m. to 4:30, which is 2.5 hours. Furthermore, the package sales will occur for 6.5 hours, 6.5 hours during child care facility operating hours. Concerning the 1,000-foot distance, we found it was not achieved. We found it was approximately 650 feet from door to door. Rachel, would you bring up the site plan map that's in the maps folder, please? Number 3, based on the applicant information, the uses will not be visible. Although buffering and screening are not required between the two commercial uses, the applicant does propose to construct an 8-foot wood privacy fence between the properties. Number 4, no outdoor uses are proposed, and that's confirmed with the applicant. There's no outdoor seating or serving that's proposed, and all the activity will be limited to the inside of the building. And then finally, concerning mitigating circumstances, the erection of a 8-foot privacy fence will assist in mitigating incompatibility between the two uses. Furthermore, per the approved site plan for the development, the two uses will be separated by that retention pond and do not maintain cross access between the two properties. That's important for our findings here. Criterion B, our findings found that public facilities and services are available. The Escambia County Development Order was issued on the property for the proposed use on January 29, 2025 for construction of a 10,400 square foot multi-tenant retail building with associated parking. We provide the development order and the backup files. ECUA water and sewer system connections will be available for the proposed use, and no additional capacity concerns are expected for this proposal. Criterion C, on-site circulation. We found that ingress and egress for pedestrians, patron vehicles, emergency vehicles, as well as parking and loading areas were found to be satisfactory for commercial retail uses per the approved site plan and as issued from the development order. Should modifications be needed to the approved site plan based on the proposed use, the applicant is responsible for coordinating with county staff for sufficiency. Currently, the on-site circulation appears satisfactory for the proposal. Criterion D, concerning nuisance and hazards. We found that no nuisance or hazards are anticipated by the proposed use, as the proposal is limited to the confines of the building. Criterion E, solid waste. We found that no additional impacts beyond the approved site plan are anticipated through these solid waste requirements. The dumpster is screened and buffered according to the requirements of the LDC, Land Development Code. Criterion F, screening and buffering. Although not required by the current Land Development Code provisions, the applicant has expressed willingness to construct an 8-foot wood privacy fence along the eastern property line. Criterion G, signs and lighting. We found that signs and lighting to be unaffected by the proposed use. Obviously, if modifications were proposed, the applicant would need to coordinate with county staff for compliance. Criterion H, site characteristics. We found that the site characteristics are adequate to accommodate the proposed use. And finally, criterion I, use requirements. We found that the parcel is zone heavy commercial light industrial, which allows for restaurants, including on-premise alcohol consumption. We also note that alcohol uses require approval from the state beverage licensing agencies. And finally, staff does recommend approval of the conditional use as requested with the following condition: completion of the proper state alcohol licensing as required, and construction of an 8-foot wood privacy fence between the two uses. So at the crux, we were able to find that it did meet the criteria. The applicant has expressed willingness to construct a fence. The proposal would be allowed for construction of that fence in the zoning district. Per the approved site plan, there was no cross access between these two parcels, between the daycare. If there was, we would probably have a little more rub if they were connected in any way. But we have a fairly big retention pond in between them, and we found that it could meet the general requirements of the conditional use.
All right, does staff have any questions of the applicant? All right, we have one person in the audience that has turned in a blue to speak sheet. Nathaniel Love,
Yes.
if you would come to the podium, please.
How you doing this morning?
Morning.
Wonderful. I'm Nathaniel Love, part owner of Little Prodigies Music and Arts Center, 1308 West 9 Mile Road.
Please raise your right hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was locked and loaded. My bad. I'm sorry.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Go ahead.
All right. So as I was saying, I'm a part owner. My wife and I own Little Prodigies Music and Arts Center. We've been open now ever since 2016. At this current location since 2019, we were just named Best of Florida in Child Care and Education for 2025, which is a great accomplishment, but one of the main reasons why we were able to do so is because we love these kids and we protect them like they're our own. With that being said, we don't have any issue with a business coming alongside us. It's the type of business and mainly the hours that they're going to be operating. We have to ensure the safety of these children at all times. We have been blessed not to have any issues come up as far as safety concerns when it comes to our children. No one has called anyone on us to come and check us out or anything like that. We have great safety there, and again, we take care of these children like they're our own. Again, we're not against them building whatever they want to build. Mainly it's the hours, because we were told they were going to be operating after 4:30. So hearing these hours that you were just told is brand new to me. So that's definitely a problem for us. If they could move their hours back, I'm not trying to tell anyone how to run their business, but if they could move theirs back, that would help accommodate us. Because we don't want the kids to come outside and start asking the parents what's going on over there. We don't want anyone coming to purchase their product and they're already under the influence. And these are things that we have to think about. We have to think about what's unpredictable at all times as it pertains to these children. And we don't want to expose them to anything that they don't have to be exposed to. And I'm sure everyone here with children can understand our standpoint and more than likely agree with it and appreciate it. That's our main concern. But again, if they can do that, if they can adjust their hours to after 4:30, or even meet us at maybe, what, 3:30 around in there, just to where it's closer to where our kids are off the grounds and they won't have to see anything or be a part of anything. That would be great for us, and we won't have anything to say. And that's all that I have for this morning. Do you all have any questions for me?
Board?
So nobody want to talk to me. That's something. You asked all these questions.
I'll talk to you. I'll
Yes,
talk
sir.
to you. It's okay, Mr. Chairman. What the concern of you having, that you have, about the kids seeing things, if, everything will be, I know you're concerned about people maybe being under the influence, leaving out of the parking lot or
course.
whatsoever, but, you know, in this world we live in, and I don't drink, so I'm not like hooray for alcohol because I'm
Right.
not a drinker. But what I'm saying is, in this world we live in, whether they go to the right or the left, I mean, at some point they're going to be exposed to things, and I don't know. I could be wrong. That time of day, I don't think you're gonna have a whole bunch of people just lit leaving that parking lot around that time of day, and I just wish, as business owners, you know, I don't know. I feel like we have enough alcohol places in town, but at the end of the day, we have to abide by the law, and we have to make our decisions based on the law. And so I want to make that clear, you know, and, you know, they may be your neighbors, probably already are your neighbors, and they whether they sell alcohol or not, they're probably going to be there. So, you know, that's just my comment, I guess. I mean, I don't want you to, whatever the decision is today, we're going to make the decision based on what's the law. You know, sometimes when I make decisions back here, I wish I can make it based on how I just feel personally, but that's not what we can do. It wouldn't be fair to anybody. But I just want to make that clear. But you know, in this world we live in, they're going to be exposed. It doesn't mean it's right at all. I'm a minister. I don't go and I don't support alcohol or drugs nowhere. But when we make decisions back here, we have to make it based on the law and what's right.
And I completely understand that, and I'm a minister as well. And our preschool is a faith-based preschool. But if we're talking about law, doesn't it have to be over 1,000 feet in distance?
I can't answer.
Because they said it's at 650 feet, and
That's a good
retention
question.
pond in between is
Yeah,
not as large
and-
as it seems in the pictures.
That's a good question.
Yeah, and he's correct. Obviously, that's why we're here. If it was more than 1,000 feet, they wouldn't need to do this.
Of course.
And what we found, and you know, as staff, there's things that the board hasn't seen from our perspective before, is that there's some close ones. There's some real close ones that we have to deal with sometimes. And we gotta use the best tools that we have. Obviously, we took the most extreme, that the most extreme corner of the building would be 650.
Okay.
But I would say for you, if there's no proposal outside, if they were to propose any type of outdoor seating or serving area, they'll be right back here. Because
Believe it
they're-
or not, I
yeah.
know all of that because I met
Yeah.
the owner and we walked through
Sure.
and he gave me his idea. Great gentleman. Don't get me
Sure.
wrong. That's why I said
Absolutely.
I have
Understood.
nothing
Yeah.
against the business, what they're
Yeah.
trying to do. But if we're going strictly by the law, like gentleman said, that's below 1,000 feet. Is that incorrect or am I wrong? Or
Yes.
So, while he's correct that there's 1,000 feet requirement, the law also is very clear that we're entitled to the conditional use if we meet the other criteria, which waives that 1,000 feet requirement. I'd also point out, while we understand what he's saying and respect that, there is a cannabis dispensary 2 stores down from Little Prodigies. Again, lawfully there, but if you're worried about intoxicating substances, there are other restaurants in the area, there are other, locations that sell and serve alcohol. So simply the existence of these substances, that's not the question. We're responsible owners. We want to be good neighbors, and would simply ask that you find that we've met the criteria. Again, children asking parents, what's going on. There'll be nothing outdoors. It's similar to Dave & Buster's. It's a family-friendly arcade-style establishment. The kids won't have to see anything. And again, we agree with Mr. Kirkland at that time of day. No one's going to be able to prevent someone with an addiction or substance problem from abusing substances, and there could be drunk drivers or whatever any time of day. But with responsible owners, with controlled sales, with these protocols in place, it won't come from this establishment. There are rules that you don't overserve. There are rules that you monitor and control what you do. And these are very well known in the community, responsible owners with other establishments with a good reputation. And we hope to be, community partners and partners with Little Prodigies to the extent that there are things we can do to help each other.
Oh, if I may. So she said they're like a Dave & Buster's, but when the gentleman showed me, it was only 2 golf games that was inside. Everything else was alcohol consumption and sales. So I'm not really sure where that Dave & Buster's came in at, which is something that I did discuss with the owner. As far as that dispensary that she was speaking of, we spoke against that as well. Even so much so that before we said something, the police department came out and inspected that themselves because they didn't agree with it being there. Since they have been there, there has been some vandalism that has taken place. There have been homeless people trying to intrude the entire establishment, theirs, and then working their way down to ours. These are just some things that have taken place due to them existing, but prior to them being there, we had none of these issues. So this is another reason why we're here combating against this as well. It's not something that's brand new to us. This is something that we're currently walking through. And you can check police documents and records if you like, and it will definitely show everything that I'm speaking of to be factual.
Board, any questions of the applicant? Ms. Bush, I have another question for you.
Yes, sir.
You've called this arcade. Is this, and restaurant? Is this for adults only, or are children allowed in there?
No, it's not for adults only. It's for children as well. Children, adults, it's open to anyone.
All right, so liquor would be served in the building where the kids can observe that?
Same as any restaurant, yes, sir.
Okay.
And just in closing, if I may, I would again remind you that the question here is not whether or not alcohol is good. The question is whether or not we've met the lawfully established criteria of the Land Development Code. We have met that criteria. Staff has agreed we've met that criteria. If you'll pull back up the retention pond and some of the other photographs and just allow the board to, again, look at the site and look at the distance. There's no cross access. Children will not be able to see the facility. Children will not be able to go over to the facility. Traffic will not leave the facility and go back the direction of Little Prodigies. It will have to go, the other way down 9 Mile Road. And so any, fear that this will negatively impact or create a nuisance or a hazard for the children, honestly, they're not going to even know it's there. There's going to be an 8-foot privacy fence. So unless a parent or someone tells the child, hey, they're serving alcohol in that establishment, it's not going to be a factor. So we thank you for following the Land Development Code and approving our application.
Yes.
I know you asked were there going to be children that could be able to go inside of the facility, and the owner did tell me yes, but the way that they have the package store set up is the package store will be to the far end of the building, which is slightly separated from the bar and the arcade that they're going to have on the inside, which is only 2 golf games, literally, is what he told me. So that part is closest to our facility, and there is cross access. There's a gate there now, but there's an opening in the gate where you can actually go under, and a child at their ages at our facility can definitely go across that retention pond, which normally has 0 water within it. So that's extremely accessible coming from our side.
Thank you. Ms. Bush, I have another question for you. Would the applicant be, consider changing the starting hours? Opening hours?
You know, we want to be good community partners. I don't know that pushing it back an hour to 3 p.m. will make that big of a difference. We are seeking approval. I would ask that it remain at 2 p.m. If your direction, it needs to be 3 p.m., then that's the condition you impose. Again, you know, I don't know that, with all respect to Mr. Love, his statements are not necessarily on the criteria. I'm here speaking for the applicant. There's nothing in the plans that says it's 2 golf games. I represent the applicant, and I'm telling you, based on my conversations with him, it's akin to at least the business model of a Dave & Buster's. Whether they start with 2 golf games, or whether they have pinball machines or air hockey tables, or, you know, the bowling games, I mean, that's to be determined, and that's not a criteria for code consideration. And so, you know, minimizing what we're telling you is the planned business is not necessarily accurate. Again, with all respect to anyone concerned, we want to be good partners. We're asking for a 2 p.m. start time. If it's your direction that it'd be 3 p.m., then that's your direction, and we will understand and respect that.
I have a question. Just to make sure we're clear,
Yes, sir.
they are exempt from the 1,000 feet based on meeting all the other criterias.
So that's what a conditional use is. Yes, sir. Whenever there are restrictions, the Land Development Code provides that you don't have to meet that distance, that you can still have this use if these other additional criteria are met. And those are things like, you know, visibility from the neighboring property, things like mitigation of any nuisances or hazards, lighting and signs, all those things that we went through that we have an approved development order, we have submitted site plans, we've met the criteria. Your expert county staff has found, and that's competent and substantial evidence in the law, that we have met the criteria if 2 things are complied with, and that's the implementation of the 8-foot privacy fence, which we're more than willing to do, and then, of course, the appropriate state alcohol sales licensing, which, I mean, that's necessary, and we wouldn't be able to operate with any alcohol otherwise. So both of those criteria will be met, which establishes that we are entitled under the law to the conditional use approval.
Okay, stating that since those conditions are met, is there any way, just not the law, but just good neighbors, just good business folks, is there any way, you know, that start time can be backed off 30 minutes, hour, or whatsoever? Just
Yes, sir. We can do 3 p.m. I mean, I don't want to fight you over an hour. We want to show that we're concerned. Will that be a loss to the business? Sure. An hour a day over, you know, the lifetime of a business, that's substantial financial, you know, impact. You know, I don't have my client here to tell me it's okay. And so on the one hand, my application, our submittal is asking for 2 p.m. We've met the criteria and should be entitled to, you know, 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. or 12 p.m., you know, whatever. But the business model would be an afternoon start, more of an evening, you know, operation. Again, if it's the condition you impose is 3 p.m., I don't imagine we would fight you on that. I can't speak for the client. Obviously, there are routes of appeal. I can't imagine that 1 hour is going to make a difference. But understanding that this is a business leader in your community, this is someone who is creating economic development, who's creating other options for entertainment, other options for food service, who is a well-respected member. I appear before you frequently and certainly wouldn't mislead you. You know, I'm bound by ethical and professional responsibility rules as well. So we're asking for 2 p.m. If you direct it's 3 p.m., then that's what you've directed.
Board, may I remind the board that we got 2 different things proposed here. We have the package sales. Remember, they proposed the sale package starting at 10 a.m. Now, specific to any recommendation related to the hours, if it's related to serving of alcohol, you know, the bar type use, please make sure it's specific on any type of recommendation, for sure.
Thank you. Board members, any other questions or?
No, I mean, it was just a few things that she said as far as 1 hour would impact their financial status, but that's the exact same for us. Not all parents want to bring kids to a location where that 1 hour exists of alcohol being sold or consumed. You know, everything that she stated, we have the same words, just from the opposite end. We're a pillar in this community as well. We've been there longer in this area than this package store / Dave & Buster's that they call it, if you will be there. And we have a great rapport with the community. And it shows in our fruit. That's all I have to say about it. But if they could move it, that would be great if they could move it back just an hour. We would love to meet them on that.
Swim in. Swim in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Yes, I do. Sorry I'm late. It was my intention to be here, but I got caught up with another issue. I know that my staff did a very, very fantastic job. I would like to add this, as a director, that whatever this board decides on, there are still opportunities for either side to appeal. For either side to appeal. No one like to go to an extensive, pay more money to appeal. As far as what the owner of the child care facility said, they were there. And so many times, it is always respectable to work with existing uses that's already, so that, because they were there. Now, Miss Crawford and her client, they have the right for property rights for their property as well. Both sides have the right to property rights. So therefore, if there is a balance that can be given, now once Miss Crawford talked to her client and they decide no to that balance, they have the opportunity to appeal. But if you all feel it's in the best interest as this board to operate where there's a reasonable amount of latitude that can be given so that you can try to have harmony with the existing use and the coming uses, you do have the authority to do that. And you're not going to satisfy all parties within the decision that you make. But if you as the board, if you can give some type of latitude, say, yes, I see what both sides are saying, perhaps if both sides could consider that, somebody still may not be pleased, but at least it can show for the record where they was willing to offer a sense of compromise if that's what they want to do. If they don't say, the criteria is the criteria. You just have to make your decision based upon the criteria. But they did bring up a good point. But that's why staff made a recommendation fully. When I reviewed this, I said, yes, they met all the criteria. They met it wholeheartedly. But that's just the information that they brought. So, board, it's in your hand to make the decision.
If I may, so we're willing to amend our application, and we would ask that the, restaurant, of course, be open, but bar service, alcohol service be 3 p.m. on weekdays. 2 p.m. as requested on weekends. Children aren't there. The child care facility isn't open on the weekends. So we can amend to say 3 p.m. on Monday through Friday for service of alcohol, with the package store, remaining at 10 a.m. would be our amendment.
All right, board discussion, any? Yes.
Where is it envisioned that the 8-foot fence will be built, if we can see it?
There are some aerials you may be able to, photographs you may be able to show the property line a little better.
Yeah, Rachel will pull that up per the requirements of the Land Development Code, the 8-foot fence can extend all the way up to the property line, up to the street. The zoning is commercial zoning. So they can extend that all the way up to the right-of-way of 9 Mile Road, where the visibility will be restricted up to 8 feet, obviously, between both of those parking lots, in addition to the buffering of the stormwater retention pond. And just to bring up, I know it's been mentioned a couple times, the exit and entrance, or excuse me, the exit for this development where this proposal is going, it's a right only. So there's a nice barrier right in the middle of 9 Mile. You can't possibly take a left there, so it's a right only coming out of there.
I would recommend, for the safety of the children, that 8-foot fence be considered a priority item going forward.
And so, respectfully, that's our recommendation is for approval with that condition specific to that fence. That's really what got us to that compatibility and got us to issuing a recommendation for approval.
Right.
And they were willing to do that at the beginning when they were willing to do that. So they are trying to be existing neighbors, good neighbors, because they understand, trying to work with both sides. So with this added, if they're willing to do the added, well, I think you have a win-win for both sides.
I feel like the amendment is appropriate. It shows just good old folks, good neighbors, you know, good business folks. And, you know, because I think with that amendment, both business owners can walk away from here, you know, getting along. There's too much confusion and too much division in this world. And I would feel much better if y'all can get along. And, you know, if there's nothing else, I would like to make a motion to pass according to staff's findings plus the amendment that the attorney added in. The package store opening Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock, and restaurant liquor sales starting at 3 p.m. Monday through Friday and 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday.
Correct. So it would be the on-premise consumption of alcohol, 3 p.m. weekdays, 2 p.m. weekends, package store open as allowed by ordinance, but open at 10 a.m. Correct.
Yeah. And so I'd like to put that motion on the floor.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. If for any reason you do not accept staff's findings, please go through all of the criteria and address each one. Do we, I'm sorry. All right, we have a motion and we have a second. Please raise your right hand if you adopt the motion. And we have a 5-0 vote, no opposals.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, case number CU 2025-11, 380 West Herman Street, a conditional use request to allow animal kennels in the heavy commercial light industrial HCLI zoning district, requested by Waterfront Rescue Mission, Inc. owner. Okay, thank you. Board members, ex parte communications regarding this case? Knowledge of information ordered, obtained from a site visit or other sources?
No.
Seeing none. Does any board member intend to refrain from voting due to a voting conflict of interest? Would the individuals who are a party to this item please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record so you can be sworn in by the clerk.
Will you each state your name and address, and then I'll swear you all in at the same time?
Do you get our work address or our personal address?
Good question. Use your work. Okay.
Lexi Osborne, 380 West Herman Street.
Clay Romano, 380 West Herman Street.
Danny Pipkins, 380 West Herman.
And Mark Isbell, 380 West Herman.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Thank you.
All right. Were you provided with a copy of the criteria required to obtain a conditional use and a copy of the findings of facts?
Yes.
And you understand that all the criteria must be met in order for the board to grant a conditional use?
Yes.
All right. Do you want to make a presentation, or would you rather have staff present?
We'll go to start with the staff.
Okay.
Findings, please.
All right, Board. Andrew Homer, Escambia County Development Services. This is conditional use case CU 2025-11. There you go. Here we go. Okay. This is our location map showing it to be on the north side of Herman. Just behind you and off to the side. This is our zoning map showing the zoning on site and in the area is heavy commercial, light industrial. This is our future land use map. It's commercial for that entire area. You will see a bit of yellow, which is mixed use urban, and that's across the street from us here. The CRA district for this one is Palafox, and there are no specific standards regulating this conditional use. This is located at the edge of a wellhead, but it's a 20-year travel time contour, which does not have the restrictions of a 7-year. This is an aerial map of the site. Showing the area, the green area to the north of the building is the location that they're seeking to do the kennel. This public hearing sign posted on site. Looking onto the subject property across Herman. Same sort of thing, looking onto the subject property from Herman. You can tell it's in a area of similar uses and more intense uses to the north, along with some railroad tracks. As to the findings, this specific code section for HCLI, it calls out as under conditional uses, kennels or animal shelters not interior to veterinary clinics. It does so based on the fact that if you're going to have kennels outside, you will get some noise issues. Dogs do like to bark. As to the specific criterion for this case, this is a .62 plus or minus acre property. It's located on West Herman Street, surrounded by HCLI zone properties. Subject property and adjacent properties are owned and used by the Waterfront Rescue Mission. The proposed use of animal kennels is compatible with the surrounding land uses. As to facilities and services, all necessary water, electric, and sewer facilities are available and already in use to the location. All facilities and services for this specific use would be reviewed through site plan review process. As to on-site circulation, it will be sufficient as accessibility to the parcel is from Herman Street. All required parking will meet the requirements of the LDC when reviewed through site plan review. Nuisances and hazards. Avoidance of nuisances and hazards to the adjacent properties and properties in the immediate area will be evaluated during the site plan review process. In addition to noise concerns from barking, in that site review process, we will discuss particulars regarding waste from any animals kept in the kennels. We will be calling on our partners with the Escambia County Animal Shelter to kind of help us with their expertise in those matters. Solid waste. Solid waste service will be available for the subject property, and all waste containers will be screened per the LDC. Screening and buffering. Screening and buffering are not required by the zoning district, but will be considered during site plan review. Signs and lighting. All proposed signage and lighting requirements will be assessed during site plan review. Lighting should be directed inward to avoid impacts on adjacent properties. As to site characteristics, the size and topography on this site appear adequate to accommodate the proposed use. Specific use requirements. There are no specific use requirements listed for this proposed conditional use, but again, we will be consulting with our county partners in animal control. As to the findings, staff finds that the proposed conditional use meets all the required criteria and recommends approval as requested. And that concludes staff's findings.
All right, applicant?
Good morning. So for the past 76 years, Waterfront Rescue Mission has existed to help the homeless and addicted community by helping provide overnight shelter, meals, and other basic essentials, as well as life-changing rescue and recovery programs that are geared towards helping end the cycle of homelessness and addiction and help these individuals re-enter society as transformed, tax-paying individuals. However, over the last several years, we've observed that a lot of individuals can't come to our facility because they have animals, and there aren't really many shelters in the area, if any, that allow homeless individuals to bring their animals and be sheltered with them. So Waterfront Rescue Mission is seeking conditional use approval to place a kennel on our campus, which is zoned heavy commercial, light industrial. This kennel will be an 8-animal kennel. It will have 8 interior dog boxes as well as 8 exterior dog runs. That means our capacity will be 8 animals, but if we have a large amount of animals that need to stay and it is a nice day, we could potentially double in capacity if needed. This designated facility will allow pet owners a place for their animals to stay while they can come inside our shelter and receive life-changing care at Waterfront Rescue Mission. The kennel will be a prefabricated structure provided by Horizon Structures, so think like a mobile home but for a dog kennel. It will be climate controlled. It will be surrounded by a chain link fence for additional security and a designated space for pet owners to be with their animal. Also, the property that it will be on, which is 380 West Herman Street, it's the back of the our Life Builder building, which is the second phase of our recovery program. That entire property is surrounded by a privacy fence. The 2 buildings on either side, as mentioned, are owned by Waterfront Rescue Mission. We have our administrative building on the right side, and on the left side we have our recycling and donation center, which is a very large warehouse building that we believe will provide buffering for the kennel. To handle any waste, for solid waste, we will use waste bags and properly dispose of the waste as needed, and then that will just be integrated into our regular ECOA trash pickups. But then for any other waste, we'll have drains inside of the kennel, and we've also spoken with Horizon Structures about adding drains inside of all of the runs as well. That way all the kennels can be properly hosed down and disinfected, and it will be connected to our sewer line. We've also formed a really strong partnership with the Escambia County Animal Shelter, and they have offered to help provide training for proper kennel sanitation. They've also offered to help train any volunteers, staff members, or program participants who will be working in the kennel on safe animal handling and that proper kennel disinfection. They've also offered to perform any of their intake procedures on any of the dogs that will be staying in the kennel. That means preventatives, vaccinations, deworming. They'll also scan their dangerous dog database before clearing an animal to stay at Waterfront's kennel. They've also offered to help our team in developing standard operating procedures just to make sure that we are operating the kennel in the best, most responsible manner possible. All of the businesses that are within a 500-foot radius of the kennel, if they are not owned by Waterfront, they should be vacant after business hours. So we don't really foresee there being too much of a problem with sound or anything like that. I believe that is everything. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys will have. Thank you.
Board, any questions? I have one. I have a couple, actually. Will there be any dogs overnight?
Yes. So yes, the plan is for there only to be dogs when the client is at our facility. So this is really to open up an opportunity for these individuals to be able to stay overnight in our shelter and have their animal stay in the kennel. Typically, as I mentioned, we could double in capacity if needed, but we don't really foresee that being a regular thing. The dog boxes will be where the animals will sleep, but then we have a guillotine door that can be closed at night. That way the dogs aren't going outside after like lights out.
Okay, they're
time.
inside the building?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does anyone walk these dogs? Or is the dog run free for the dog to use, or are they walked?
So during the day, the plan would be to have the guillotine door open. That way the dogs can go back and forth between the indoor box and then the external run. However, we will have that fenced in or the chain link fence around the structure where the clients, like the pet owners, can go with their animal and have a designated space on campus where they can just walk their animal, play with their animal, and let the dogs roam free.
But nothing outside the property line?
Right. If they are on campus at all and their animal isn't within that chain link fenced in area, we won't allow them to be on campus. So if they're on campus, we'll just ask them to be inside of that fenced in area.
Thank you. Board, any other questions of the applicant? Staff, any questions for the applicant?
No, sir.
All right.
I do also have just a quick little site plan that I put together. I just remembered that. I don't know if it's too late, so I'm not sure how that.
So it was submitted to staff. We did get the email. Thank you.
Yeah.
Basically, I can explain to you while you're looking at the aerial. Behind the building, basically they're going to be enclosing for the runs the area, directly behind the building. The red outline of the property boundary, they're going to be replacing that chain link fence there, and the run will be directly behind, directly north of the building attached to it.
And Drew, I do have a question for you. If this approved, I believe that you gotta go through the site plan review process, and we should be able to, for them, and I think they're willing to do that, because they waterfront is right there. That for the neighbors concerned, if it is approved, that they can submit an operation plan about how you're gonna do, I mean, you were so detailed doing a site plan explicitly, so that can be part, if it is approved, part of our site plan review project, so that we can make sure that sometimes people get approved and they change, but we get that part of the packet, hours of operation. I think that'd be, what you stated was on point. That'd be good.
Board, I have the site plan for you to view, and I could get a motion to accept it into the packet.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting, please raise their right hand. And it is 5-0 in favor. Board, any other questions before we bring up any speakers?
Just curious, when these animals come in with the clients, the individuals, will you be making sure they have the proper like shots and stuff that they need at that time also?
Yes, so we actually met with the Escambia County Animal Shelter just a couple months ago, and John Robinson, the Director of Animal Welfare, he was amazing. He offered to help us in many different ways, but he actually said that any intake procedure that they do at the animal shelter, they could do on any animal that'd be staying in our kennel. So that's preventatives, vaccinations, deworming, neutering, all of that. He also offered to have all animals scanned, run through their dangerous dog database just to make sure we don't want to spread diseases or anything like that in the kennel, especially because, with the homeless community, that can become a very big issue. So we'll make sure that all that's taken care of. They'll give them like discharge paperwork essentially that they'll bring to us, and we'll have to receive that to be able to receive the animal into the kennel.
All right, we have some speakers. Mark Isbell.
Oh, I'm just with Waterfront South.
Okay. Clay Romero.
That's me, sir.
Okay. Tom Klesser. Yes, certainly.
Please state your name and address.
Yes, I'm Dr. Joanne Glesser, and we live at 20 West Lee Street, but we own the properties in the 400 block of West Herman.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Joanne Glesser, and we own the 4 warehouses directly abutting the Waterfront Mission. And we have several issues with this, primarily concerning the dogs. Sanitary conditions is number one. I understand what they're saying they'll do once the dogs are contained in there, but our issue is as they approach that and they're either rejected or allowed in because we're subject to animals that the homeless people have with them all the time on our properties, to the point where we're afraid to get out of our car unless we have some kind of protection, because most of the homeless people, unfortunately, do not come with leashed, haltered, controlled animals. We've had personal experience with some of the worst animals that they have let wander away. One we saved a couple years ago. After $2,500 of our own money, he came to us. We thought he was dead immediately, and we got emergency help, and he lasted a few months. But we regularly see them. They're malnourished. They have diseases. My husband and I both volunteer at the Escambia County Shelter, and we work in the intake department when we volunteer, so we see the dogs as they come in. We were there when they shut down the Beggs Lane homeless camp, and they asked us to volunteer extra hours. They were pitiful, the dogs that they pulled from there. They were in such terrible shape, puppies, and we took them all in and we held them, and a couple days later, I came down with a serious illness, and they couldn't figure out what it was. They finally decided it was Campylobacter, which can be gotten from animals that are sick. I was in terrible shape. I lost 10 pounds. They didn't know if my kidneys were going to fail. Even got the CDC involved. It got that bad. So the CDC was trying to trace down where it came from, and it came from the intake department at the shelter. So now when we enter our buildings at all, I have to carry pepper spray or some kind of protection because I can't let those dogs get close to me. And we're animal lovers. We have 5 dogs. We volunteer at the shelter. We volunteer at other shelters. Our concern is not what happens once they take them and get all the shots and everything. Our question and concern is the approach, because they come all the time. The problem is it's not relegated only to cats and dogs. We see all kinds of strange animals that they bring with them, and they let wander free as they sit for hours and hours on the streets waiting to get in. We've approached the Waterfront Mission several times. We get very little response for them. They did not reach out to us to explain what they were trying to do at all. None of us were contacted on a personal level. We see them all the time because we have to call the police daily. They've threatened my life. They've threatened my child's life, who tries to go into because they sit with their animals on the porches, and they approach us if we try to get them out of the way. It used to be we were just afraid to go in at nighttime. Now we're afraid even to go during the day. But the biggest thing is that we just don't understand how they can process every one of these animals and get them shots and all that stuff before they admit them to spend the night with a homeless person. Is the animal shelter going to come and take all those animals and clear them and give them all the shots and then bring them back and let them go into the kennels? That's our big concern, is for the quality of the animals and how they can possibly do all this before they admit them. I think the idea of the shelter to allow those people to be with their animals is a wonderful idea. I just don't know how you can guarantee the flow that those animals going in are going to be protected from the other animals that are there and from us. Again, the noise nuisance, I'm hoping that their kennel bill will cover that, but that could be a problem because we're at the shelter all the time and the noise level is hideous. Most people wear little earplugs because scared dogs and sick dogs bark constantly. So those are some of the issues my husband and I have. Again, the most serious one is the infectious diseases and how they're going to limit what type of animals come in and what those animals are going to be doing while they're in the holding period out on Herman Street before they get their shots.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Board, any questions?
Yeah, I have a comment. All right. You go ahead.
Can we see a site aerial that shows their property? Yes. If you bring that first one up, where you show all the adjoining buildings. We are the black, the white, and the big one in the back there, so the entire length of Herman Street.
Okay.
Is affected, and it's not exactly correct. We have people that use those buildings at all hours of day and night. We have supplies in there. Some of the other businesses have calls where they come and go at nighttime because we've had to call the police before because we can't even get into our building at nighttime because of the animals and people that are camped out in the front. It's really frightening not to have access to your own building. Like I said, it used to be just at night, and now it's during the day too, where we've been threatened.
Other questions?
I just have a comment. Unfortunately, the less fortunate, some of them are less fortunate because of mental illness. Some are retired military. Some, you know, everybody have their own issues. And, you know, I have a business in this area also. And, you know, I see what you're talking about, but I also see what the Waterfront Mission has done. I've had the pleasure of being able to cook there years ago with Chef Carmen. And I, you know, for them, the process that they're talking about, yeah, it won't save all the animals in the neighborhood, but it'll help some. I really feel like it'll help. And the dogs are going to be on a lockdown at nighttime. You know, I don't think anybody in the city has a 100% solution for the problem, but I do feel like the direction they're going is a positive direction to help some, even if they can't help them all.
But the problem is affording that it becomes more of an attractive nuisance. More homeless people are going to bring more animals with the chance that they might get to keep them there. And like I said, the concept of what they're planning on the interior, I don't have any problems with. It sounds sound. My problem is that all the animals that are attracted with their owners, because right now when they go in to eat or something, they just let their animal, they don't have leashes on or anything. They just let their animals wander all around in front of our buildings and up and down our streets. And unless I'm in a safe place, especially, I can't even get out of my car because there's no control over whether those animals are in bad shape or if they're sick or if they'll attack. We have no idea. So what I'd like to assure is the fact that there's got to be some way that they don't just wait on Herman Street until they get processed and get their rabies shots and be sure that they're not sick, because that waiting time outside the building and wandering around the streets by our properties and by us is the part I'm scared about. And I don't think I don't know any conceptual plan where they could take care of every homeless dog that's outside Herman Street with the chance that some might be spending the night.
I don't think they're just taking in dogs. I think you have to be a part of the program in order to bring your pet there and stay there. And I know they have strict rules. You know, some people, they don't qualify for the program because they don't want to abide by the rules, if I'm not mistaken.
And I understand that. And those are the ones that we're really worried about, because those are the animals that turn right around and they're out on the streets because they're sick or ill or aggressive. It's that period out on Herman Street and on M Street that is our major concern. The conceptual idea of a shelter, I think, is wonderful, and I think removing pet. I mean, I have a PhD in research design, which psych is my background, and I understand that perfectly. Animals bond with people and help them get out of the lowest spots in their lives. My problem is that I'm 77 years old and I'm getting sick from animals that don't have the shots in it, and we volunteer and we keep volunteering, but the problem is that holding area outside, how to keep those animals farther away or contained until they're going to be processed. And the other animals, the other people that they say, oh, they're taking animals now, you know, that's our problem, is that it becomes an attractive nuisance in the area. The conceptual idea inside, I think, is wonderful. It's just how that's processed and how those waiting animals aren't around us and getting us sick.
All right, thank you. One more, Danny Pipkins. All right, I've got a question for the applicant. Actually, it's clarification. Currently, you have no facility for holding dogs, right?
Yes.
Okay. And is the dog problem out there not a result of your operations?
I believe that there are a lot of there are a lot of individuals in the community that have dogs. I know one of my friends worked at the animal shelter, and when they did the Beggs Lane clearing out, there were tons of dogs. Whenever we had the snow day, we were hitting record numbers in our mission, and we had 6 animal kennels that we just had to, because we couldn't leave individuals out on the street in the snow. I mean, that's life-threatening. So we've made arrangements in the past, but we're not supposed to do that because of insurance, which maybe I'm saying too much. But yes, we believe that it's a big issue. We've been seeing a lot more individuals come on campus with dogs. I haven't personally noticed many just roaming around Herman Street off leashes, as this woman was speaking about. I do believe that having the kennel will actually be a solution for her concerns, because now these individuals will have a place for their animals, and so they won't just be roaming around the street. We expect this to be a seamless process. They'll just take their animal to the kennel or to the shelter. They'll do the intake procedures on the animal, and then they'll be cleared to come straight to our mission and have them checked in to our shelter. So.
Thank you.
If I may add something to that.
Yes.
So one of the concerns that was just brought up was that these individuals are leaving their dogs on off leash while they come in and get food or resources. We'd be willing to also make it a condition that if they come onto our campus for services and they have an animal, that it has to be checked out by the animal shelter before coming on and receiving any services, so that we can help mitigate those kind of issues. Oh, I'm sorry, thought that was me.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, you better answer that then.
That's my wife.
So we're willing to change our policies with regards to the snow days. You know, during extreme weather nights, we suspend all of our normal operating hours, because the safety and well-being of everybody, including animals, is at the foremost on our minds at that time.
Thank you.
Okay.
And if I may, thank you. I was getting ready to make a statement. It appears that the doctor, basically, she is a volunteer at the animal shelter, and they have been there a long time. Again, cooperation and collaboration, and getting to a place of harmony for these new users that are coming is where we all want to be. And I believe that with that consensus, to try to, I would say it's still not gonna be perfect, but what y'all is doing is a step in the right direction. And I believe that if y'all can continue to work with her, work with the animal shelter, so that her concerns are valid, that they can be reasonably addressed even more. Even if you get, John Robertson is an excellent, I mean, he's one of the best directors we have. And I'm a director. He probably 100% better than me. That's just his personality. That's how he is. So he's a citizen person. He's community. He knows his job. So I believe that both of y'all got connections with him. So y'all can basically, because this, I think the need is definitely there. That's why staff is in full support of it. So if y'all can work with her, her concerns are valid, legitimate. She's an animal lover, but she knows her business is right there. So collaboration, communication, honesty, and feedback. Sometimes people make commitments that they don't keep. If you're gonna make a commitment, let's do it so that everybody can have, you may not eliminate the problem, but at least you can have a good harmony with all people. Because Herman, I mean, we see they do. I drive by Herman all of the time. And it's visible. It really is. So collaboration, and I think we can get to that point with that. That'll be in a good spirit.
I think that's the point, is that the mission did not reach out to any of us, and they don't reach out on issues. That's been our biggest issue. We try calling them regularly, and we very seldom get a response. We got one a week and a half ago, but we call them regularly about issues. Like, I don't understand how, I don't see how they're capable of handling dog.
Can she come up to the mic?
I don't, I'd like to see a concrete plan about how they're handling these animals outside, because unfortunately, I don't know how they're going to handle dog feces when they can't even handle human feces that are on our porches and on our side, and all of the drug paraphernalia and dogs on top of it, or other wild animals. I mean, I've seen parrots, I've seen a wide array. And I'm not opposing, my husband and I are not opposing the concept of a kennel. I think psychologically it makes wonderful sense. What I'm concerned about is just everything surrounding it, how they're going to make that flow, that a dog that comes up immediately gets taken away and given the shots and come back before they contaminate other dogs that are in the area or other people that are in the area, for example, me. So what I'm saying is that I don't see a plan. They're saying, oh, the shelter's going to help us and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I volunteer at the shelter. That shelter is so overwhelmed and so understaffed, it's unbelievable. They break their heart trying to make it work. But I just don't see how on a regular basis the shelter is going to drop everything to take these couple dogs that are waiting outside to get lunch with their owners or being processed in to get them shots and return them back in a safe position. So that means all the time those animals are spreading diseases when they're in the waiting period. If there could be some way to deal with what's outside, the shelter itself, we have no problems with. It makes sense and it works. It's just how they handle it and make that concrete. Because like I said, we haven't had really good luck on getting response from the Waterfront Mission.
They just stated that, you know, they'll have to go through the animal shelter before they come to their doors for help. And also, ma'am, you know, communication is so important in this community. And I think you're in the right place today so you can communicate with them after this meeting. I think, you know, this is a fine time to establish a relationship with the Waterfront Mission, since you're their neighbor, and get the right contacts that you need. And also maybe get some contacts, you know, with the animal shelter for those dogs that are running loose that the Waterfront Mission is not responsible for, you know. But I think you're in the right place at the right time. I mean, if they haven't been responding, I mean, you're right in front of them, and this is the perfect time to communicate, you know. And
we've been reaching out for them for 2 years.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
we've gotten back maybe, out of maybe 15, 20 calls, we've gotten 2 back.
I would recommend giving them grace, you know, letting that be water under the bridge, because they're here today. They have to, you know, after this meeting, I mean, this is a fine time for them to listen. If, you know, I mean, if they want to be a good neighbor, you know, they'll listen to your concerns and let, you know, sometimes when we're on the outside looking in, we don't see what it's like on the inside looking out, and we don't understand. But communication, sometimes you can get a lot of understanding with your neighbors, because we see it a lot of times, ma'am, just like the case just before us, before this, you know, it was more, the BOA is bigger than just, you know, sitting there making a decision, passing something. You know, me personally, I want to see people get along when they leave this room. I want to see people, you might not get what you want, but I want to see people get along in this world. You know, that's how we can continue to be a better community. You know, the Waterfront Mission, they've been there forever. And yeah, people going to criticize them and say they're not doing this or they're not doing that. And, you know, I would hate to be in their shoes, because I know it ain't easy. And like you said, they're understaffed, I'm sure. They don't have enough volunteers. But, you know, you have, you know, with your experience and your husband's experience with animals, I think it may be a great time to communicate with them today, get some contacts, and bring your experience to the table and help them with some of your great ideas. Because, I mean, I feel exactly where you're coming from. But I also see something great. I mean, they can't help all the animals, and they can't save them all, and they can't save all the people, but they're trying to save some. You know, the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Exactly. And they're taking small bites and they're trying, you know. And you know, it'd be good if the community could stand behind them and communicate with them. And you say they're understaffed, that's probably why they haven't communicated. But they are here today. And I mean,
no, the animal shelter is understaffed. I would say.
Oh, the animal shelter. Okay, I got you.
They seem to have plenty of staff.
Okay, I got you.
Again, the issue is not with the shelter, the concept of that. It's just if something could be secured about the intake process and the animals that are outside, and that, because I've heard a lot of things saying, oh, we are going to do that, but I would like it if it were something concrete that, you know, that there's proof these dogs have rabies shots, that the animals that are waiting outside are corralled in some reason so they don't wander and attack people, that the dogs are on leashes. I mean, just something concrete so that while they're waiting on intake all over Herman Street and all over our properties, that these are not rabies-ridden, sick animals that are waiting to be processed. And again, animals are everywhere, but the Waterfront Mission provides an attractive nuisance which collects them all in a concentrated location, which also happens to be our properties.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones, I have a question for you. I'm not familiar with all of the county departments, but am I correct in assuming that there is an animal control department?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All that's handled by Mr. John Robinson, and he, like I said, he has a good team. He's definitely understaffed, but this is a public meeting. The things that's being said is public. The public will view these meetings, so your concerns are being aired public, and they are here. So if there's any negation of something that is not done, what they said they was going to do, that's not good, because these are public meetings and they are recorded. And I believe that getting with Mr. Robinson, getting a good operation and procedures plan so that she can be aware, because her concerns are valid. You are the property owner. That's Mr. Kirkland did an excellent job. Operations, procedures plan. Don't negate this. Well, no, that's not going, because it'll come back again wholeheartedly, because it'll go up to the chain higher than them. So working together, getting our concerns out there. Operation, have a meeting with Mr. John Robinson. Both of y'all say, hey, and he can't do everything, but he got a good team, excellent team. He's a smart man. So I believe that there could be a harmonious relationship and agreement with all parties to have a win-win. That doesn't mean everybody gonna win the game. Everybody gonna be, but everybody can get something harmony out of this new, because it's a new building, it's a new site. So improvements will have to be made, and that's a good thing. You want to make improvements, try to make the situation better, and I believe that's what I believe they have a good heart to want to try to make it better.
Thank you. Board, any other comments or questions?
I had a question for the waterfront. These animals, their owners, they have to be part of a program for this?
So it depends on what their needs are. So we have emergency overnight shelter services.
If you get in the mic, because you'll be recorded.
Sorry. So it depends on what services they're there for. So they can participate in our emergency overnight shelter services. They can join one of our programs. It just depends on what their immediate needs are.
Okay, so it could be there for overnight or several days or a week or so, depending on the
Absolutely.
program. Okay, thank you.
Depends on what their needs are.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve according to staff findings. And just a comment on the end. Waterfront Mission, make sure y'all get with her after this meeting so y'all can communicate. And that's it.
Do we have a second? We have a second. All those in favor, raise their right arm. And it is 5-0. It passes. All right. Staff, any other information?
And I want to say thank you all for trying to, I like the way this board is operating, trying to address granting special conditions where you're trying to get harmony for both sides. I mean, for the last couple of board meetings, I've seen that, and that's the way it should be, where both parties can come to the table and try to work things out, listening together. If everybody can start listening to one another, what a better world this would be.
Thank you.
And I have an update on a previous case. Yesterday morning, sorry, I keep wanting to say last night. BCC meeting yesterday morning, as part of the county attorney's report, it was finally put to rest, conditional use case from June of 2020. So, sometimes these cases don't go away for a long time, but that one was finally resolved. All the various court actions on it were finally done. So, just to let you know.
Great.
And I want to thank Mr. Homer. Mr. Homer has been a trooper in that case. I mean, he has, I mean, he's an excellent deputy director. So that's why no one like for these cases to go to court.
Yeah.
Because then our county attorney's office have to get involved, and it get longer and longer. So that's, since 2020, we just got a resolution. So.
Well, and just to clarify, that was not the BOA's decision. It was somewhat related, but it was a separate case that was filed in circuit court, and the appeal regarding the BOA's decision was resolved long ago.
Oh, correct.
And the BOA's decision was upheld.
Good.
It just,
But it was one of those that just, kept going.
I'm getting too old for this.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you much. Yep.
Yeah.
I guess we're having a meeting next week. I guess we're having a meeting next month.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we spoke. You
handled that very well. Appreciate it. I know it dragged on and shoot for 2 cases, but I just hate to see so much confusion over something that ain't even that big.
Most of these cases should be agreed, compromised, and agreed to.
You people gotta do business next to each other for years to come, So I get mad right now and then just stay mad the rest of the lifetime. It ain't cool, It ain't cool. It was a good meeting.
And today we had more ministers in the audience than people.
I know, right?
I feel bad, I'm not a minister.
We're gonna have to have church service out of wild. I'll see y'all on the next one.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah, one of these 2 cases was in the Escambia news,
was it?
online news, and they were looking for people to come out.
That's what my wife wants to
I
see.
don't know which, they didn't mention which case it was.
That's what my wife would. She follows social media or whatever. I don't.
Yeah.
But she came out to me Sunday and says, "You're on the board of adjustment, right?" Yeah. Oh, there's somebody started trying to get people there. I'm like, oh.
Did they say what case?
I didn't even know. See, she said the 2 cases I hadn't read them. I usually read them Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
And she goes, one's dealing with a kennel. I go, okay, whatever. And the other one's dealing with alcohol near a church. And I'm like, oh, those are the fun ones.
Yeah.
And this one actually turned out to be okay.
Yeah, I kind of assumed it was going to be alcohol.
Yeah.
We've had plenty of those, and we've approved them.
And those are the ones that usually get sticky. And, but she, I guess somebody on social media is trying to get people here. I don't know which one, but it was interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, good job.
We'll see.